Could one of the ARK's most underrated theropods defeat the big four of Jurassic World? In this video, we're going to be putting two Allosaurus against the Indominus Rex, Giganotosaurus, Rexy, and Spino, and seeing how they would fare in a 1 versus 2 scenario, and see who would come out on top in a fight to the death. Before we get to the scaling, I just want to ask you guys simply to like and subscribe and share the video if you like this kind of content. It is not exactly the kind of content that gets me the most views, however, I enjoy making this. So please, subscribe and do all the other YouTube stuff. But now, let's get to the scaling. Let's begin with the new kid on the block. The Allosaurus is one of the largest predators within the island, standing over 6 meters tall, 16.5 meters long, and would weigh something between 30 metric tons. But how powerful is it compared to the other theropods of the ARK? We already have a really good benchmark, as the dossier states that they are weaker than the Rex. We don't have an exact number on that, however, by utilizing the base damage of both creatures, and using one of the most consistent feats for the ARK Rex, and dividing by the damage difference, we can get something very close. So, ARK Rex damage is 62, Allosaurus is 35. So roughly a 1.7 times difference. So 599 kilograms divided by 1.7 equals 352 kilograms of TNT. This would comfortably put the Allosaurus decently into the building ranges. This would also scale to their durability due to both feats performed through their physical bodies. In terms of speed, the ARK Allosaurus is much faster than the Rex, who is able to run at 30 miles per hour. The Allosaurus itself is capable of running at speeds of 35 miles per hour. However, a much higher speed feat in terms of reaction is the fact that they're capable of keeping up with creatures with subsonic levels of reaction speed and movement speed, which they would scale to due to the replacement with the series of ARK. And as for hacks, well, they don't really have much. However, what they do have is a boost. An Allosaurus who has the Alpha status gains a 25% damage buff and 12.5% plus durability. So Alpha Allosaurus would still be within building level ranges at 450 kilograms of TNT and its durability at 396 kilograms of TNT. Still building, but quite deeper into it. However, their most powerful ability is the Gnash. Similar to the Giga, this attack causes the opponent to lose tons of blood for a short period of time. This ability itself is even capable of affecting the higher tiers of ARK. However, this ability in this scenario will probably be permanent, as well, bleeding doesn't stop when you have an open wound. So in the end, we have an Allosaurus that's capable of reaching consistently building level durability and attack potency, being able to run at 35 miles per hour while also having subsonic attack speeds. And now, can Jurassic World theropods actually stack up? I'm gonna utilize all of the big four at their absolute maximum. Zeb, Rexy, Spino, and Indominus will all be at their absolute physical prowess and at their pinnacle, and under terrain that doesn't favor them in any sort of way. So now, let's begin with the weakest of the big four, the Spinosaurus. In terms of attack potency, the Spinosaurus is, at a bare minimum, wall level, quite casual, as he manages to casually fragment a large steel fence without any real difficulty, which is really just a low ball, as he is able to also break a large boulder to a small building level yield, which is also consistent with the fact that he was able to snap Pole's neck, which yields just as much energy. Well, as for speed, we know that consistently he is a bit below both Pole and the 80, as they're both really just outclassing the Spino itself. However, let's be generous and say that yeah, he fully scales to both of them in terms of speed. In terms of size, he's consistently 18 feet tall, 50 feet long, and in terms of weight, it's kind of all over the place. Some stuff says he's 10 tons, other stuff says he's lighter, but the 10-ton stuff also contradicts the Giganotosaurus being the largest predator the world has ever seen. But let's just grant the Spinosaurus its 10-ton statement as true, so that he stands actual a chance. Now moving on to the actual heavy hitters of Jurassic World. And above the Spinosaurus is Rexy, by far one of the strongest Rexes in the franchise, multiple times being stated to be the queen of the island, which would put her above the Spinosaurus itself, consistent given her performance against two of the most powerful theropods in the franchise. While she was not capable of defeating the Giganotosaurus nor the Indominus Rex on her own, her performance against them really speaks volume about her capacity to contend against higher degrees of power compared to her. And even after getting quite a beating from the Indominus, she was still able to lift up the 10.5-ton Indominus, after throwing her around for a bit. But she's not only capable of running 50 km per hour, but also shows relative speed against both the Giganotosaurus and the Indominus, who are both able to run at 30 miles per hour and 35 miles per hour, respectively. But to truly gauge the strength of Rexy, we must scale the Giganotosaurus and the Indominus as well, so now let's get a look into those two. Above the queen of the dinosaurs herself is the Indominus Rex, the biological weapon that has been stated many times to be one of the most powerful creatures in the island during Jurassic World, able to take a small building level attack without any damage and being able to crack the gyrosphere to a small building level yield. But her impressive showings of strength are only matched by her showings of intelligence, able to adapt her fighting style on the fly, flipping over an Allosaurus to expose its weak spots, and even turning the raptors against their owners to fight by her side. But her more crazy feat is being able to lift an 80-ton zipline tower with ease. This would put her lifting strength in the class 50 range. Unlike most of the dinosaurs in Jurassic World, she actually does possess a handful of abilities on her side, being able to turn invisible, hide her heat signature, and even being able to see infrared. Not only that, she's actually capable of blitzing raptors, which are consistently stated to be able to run at 60 miles per hour. But, despite her terrifying power, the only foe that can be considered her equal is the largest carnivore the world has ever seen. Zeb the Giga, the undisputed apex predator of Biosins Valley, humbling the likes of Rexy despite her fighting respite in her new life at the valley. His most impressive showings demonstrate the monstrous amount of power he has on his side, easily overpowering the likes of Rexy, who, contrary to popular belief, wasn't really affected by her age, and was still capable to put up a fight even against Zeb to a certain extent. But the Giga kept overpowering her through and through, and most of their clashes really show that he is still technically superior, and unlike the Indominus that Rexy could overpower, Zeb was no such foe, and it was a limit that she could not break on her own. In conclusion, the Big Four find themselves within the small building level ranges with superhuman speeds in both reaction and movement speed. But now, how would they fare against the ARK Allosaurus? unfortunately, the Jurassic World theropods couldn't hold a candle to ARK's theropods. Unfortunately, but it was quite predictable. Building levels of attack potency and durability against, at best, small building level. Unfortunately, most of the calculations that get the verse into building to the large building have been largely debunked. However, maybe in the future, one day, I don't know, perhaps we'll have Jurassic World at large building. But enough of that, let me know what you guys thought of this. I'm certainly happy to have worked on this episode, and I really hope you've enjoyed. Stay tuned for more, and see you later.